Godly Play friends. It's Miss Becky. I'm here in our Godly Play room, a place that I haven't been in a while, and now that I'm here I realize how much I miss it. So Miss Helen and I are here telling some stories about what happened after the first Easter and how Jesus' friends and followers got to know him in a new way. In this story, they got to know him through breaking bread. So if you remember last time, Miss Helen told the story about how Mary Magdalene, one of Jesus' closest friends, went to the tomb and he wasn't there. And then she saw him outside of the tomb. She thought he was the gardener, but it was really Jesus. Well, in today's story, we're going to hear about two of Jesus' other friends and followers. On the same day, the very first Easter, later in the day, after Mary Magdalene had found Jesus, two of his followers were walking to a town called Emmaus. It was about 7 miles from Jerusalem. They must have been shaking their heads and talking about what happened on the cross and talking about the empty tomb and trying to figure out what it all meant. And as they were walking along, a stranger joined them. They didn't notice the stranger at first until he said, "What are you talking about?" They asked him, "Are you the only one in Jerusalem who has not heard about what has happened in the last 3 days?" "What happened?" the stranger asked them. So they told him about the cross and the empty tomb. And they asked him, "What can all this mean?" And the stranger said to them, "Do you remember how we were trapped in Egypt and Moses led us out to freedom through the waters? Do you remember how we were trapped in the desert? Even though we were free, we were trapped in the desert. And God gave Moses the 10 commandments, the 10 best ways to live, to guide us. And do you remember how we were trapped in exile, but the prophets said that a child would lead us and that someone would come to suffer and die so that we might really be alive?" By this time, the 3 had arrived in the village of Emmaus. The trip had passed quickly while the stranger talked to the 2 followers. He was about to go on his way, but they asked him if he would stay with them. So the 3 of them sat down for supper at an inn, and the stranger took a piece of bread. He gave thanks to God for it and broke it, and he shared it with the 2 followers. That was when they knew who the stranger was. But in that moment, he was gone. They sat at the table for a while talking, and now they knew why their hearts had burned within as they walked with the stranger on the road. They got up slowly, but they hurried back to Jerusalem to tell Jesus' other friends and followers what they had seen and heard while they were breaking bread with Jesus. I wonder what that was like, to be talking to somebody and not really knowing who they were, but then all of a sudden realizing who it was, your friend and your teacher, and then he was gone and they couldn't really talk to him any further. That must have been a really exciting but confusing time for Jesus' friends and followers. Hi friends, Miss Becky here. The story of the walk to Emmaus reminded me of the walks that I take through my neighborhood. I try to go a couple of times a week because I know it's good for me and it's a healthy thing to do, to walk. I live at one end of the neighborhood, what I call the CVS end, which is just about a block away from my house. You can't see it from here because of all the trees. And the other end of the neighborhood I call the Parkway end, and I'll show you why I call it the Parkway end when I get there. It's about a 2-mile round trip from my house all the way to the other end of the neighborhood and back, and that's just about the right amount of a walk for me. So the other thing I thought about when I was thinking about the walk to Emmaus and the walk through my neighborhood is I've heard a lot about scavenger hunts lately. I've heard about it on the news, where people in different neighborhoods set up scavenger hunts for the kids in their neighborhood for something to do while they're staying at home so much. So I went on Google and I looked it up. I looked up scavenger hunts to see if I could learn a little bit more about it. And I learned that there are all kinds of scavenger hunts. Some people set up scavenger hunts with teddy bears and stuffed animals in their windows or on their porches. Some people do nature scavenger hunts, indoor scavenger hunts, and outdoor scavenger hunts. Scavenger hunts for colors, scavenger hunts for smells or sounds. I even saw a glow-in-the-dark scavenger hunt. So today when I go on my walk, I decided to do a scavenger hunt too. And I'm going to do a scavenger hunt for animals. Not live animals though, fake animals. So I'm going to share with you what I find while I go on my walk. Come on, let's go. The first not live animal I found, this time it's a bird, an owl, sitting right in the next to my neighbor's steps. He's cute, big eyes. Here's something really interesting. I always thought it was a bird flying. Now that I'm looking at it closer, I really think it's a rabbit. And those two big things sticking up are the rabbit's ears. Kind of hard to tell because it's hidden by the bushes, but I'm going to say it's a rabbit. Here are 2 frogs. I actually think we're going to see a lot of frogs. People must like frogs in their yards. You see these birds way up in the corner of this neighbor's porch? They look like 2 storks or cranes or egrets or something like that. I need a bird book to tell me exactly what they are. They're neat though. It looks like a mom and a dad and a baby bird. Okay, just found another animal. I actually think this is the Nittany lion. All you Penn State fans out there need to tell me whether I'm right or not. I don't see any Penn State flags or anything like that, but I really think that this could be the Nittany lion. And here's the Georgia bulldog. These people must be Georgia fans. I think that's another scavenger hunt you could do, is a sports scavenger hunt. Of course, in most of our neighborhoods, we'd see a lot of Pirates, Penguins, and Steelers. Maybe every now and then you'd see some sports flags or posters or little mascots like this that are from some other teams besides Pittsburgh teams. Okay, friends, here comes about 1 minute of non-fake animal video. I made it to the other side of the neighborhood, so I'm halfway through my walk. And the reason that I call this the Parkway side of the neighborhood is because right down there is the highway called the Parkway, which is a highway that goes all through the city of Pittsburgh. And I can look down on the Parkway and see the cars going in both directions. I really like to walk right through this gate when I'm on my walk. It's like the turning point from the walk to the Parkway side, and then I turn through the gate and start my walk back to my house on the CVS side. Today, I see a lot of real animals in there, lots and lots of bees, those big yellow jacket kind of bees. So I went around the gate instead of through the gate because I'm a little afraid of getting stung. So here I go on my walk back to my house. We'll see what other kinds of animals, non-live animals, I can find. There's two little rabbits sitting right by the flag. These neighbors have a flag on either side of their sidewalk, which looks really nice. And those little rabbits are sure cute. This is one of my favorite houses in the neighborhood because they have so many beautiful plants in their yard, their garden, and up on the porch too. And here's one of my favorite little non-animals, this little squirrel. And behind that they have a frog. And then over here is another frog sitting and thinking. Maybe he's thinking about this sign that says "You belong." I like that one too. And I didn't notice this before in my favorite house. I guess that's the point of a scavenger hunt, is to really be on the lookout. There's a couple of more little rabbits. And there is an elephant. That might be the most unique non-animal that I'll see on my scavenger hunt. There's another rabbit with a bright blue bow. That would work pretty well in the color scavenger hunt. Here's another neat house that I like that has a lot of things to look at. There's a nice bird. I think that bird is a flamingo. There's a little squirrel sitting up on the porch. And I think I see something else, maybe a couple more things. There's a rabbit sitting behind the patio railing. And then there looks like there's a couple of birds in front of the planters. And, oh, there they are. Some more rabbits sitting right on the steps. Now, this house, ooh, pretty shaky there, Miss Becky. This house, I think, is quite the find on my scavenger hunt. Look at all those plastic pink flamingos. I think maybe this neighbor was having some sort of a celebration or something a couple of days ago, and they put out the pink flamingos for the celebration. But I think they are so neat and colorful, and you can really find my neighbor's house by all their pink flamingos. I might have to get something like that for my house. There's a cat, not a real one. We haven't seen any cats so far on the scavenger hunt. That's the first one. I'm back at my house now, and I have one more non-live animal to show you on my walk. These three little turtles, which I have in my little landscaping right at the back of my house. I think they're headed for the river. I think most of the turtles around here need some water once in a while. And speaking of water, I didn't tell you at the start of my walk that sometimes you should take water on your walks with you in case you get thirsty. I don't usually take any water with me because I figure I can make it 2 miles without water. But I'm tired now and thirsty, so I'm going to go inside and get a drink of water and maybe a little snack to eat. But thanks for joining me on my walk and thinking about the walk to Emmaus. And I hope you got a lot of good ideas about maybe doing a scavenger hunt in your own neighborhood. I got a lot of ideas about my next walk and what I might be looking for. So stay healthy, get out there and get some exercise, and see what fun and interesting things you can see along the way.